Welcome to Thursday Thoughts, your weekly dose of real, honest conversation on all things personal growth. These are the chats Lucy and I love having every week over on Instagram. They're unfiltered, unedited, and always rooted in practical tools and a dose of inspiration. Let's dive in.
So, God, I have no idea. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I know we're going to...
Well, I was kind of bounding around ideas, and then my latest one about 5 minutes ago was like, well, because I saw that this live episode is going to go out. Oh gosh, it's going to be a good one.
I know, it really is.
It's going to go out on our podcasts for Thursday Thoughts on Christmas Day. So I was like, well, let's talk about Christmas because we're in the run up to Christmas now. It's going out on Christmas Day, and I thought, we all have our own versions of Christmas. I mean, obviously, it's all around us here. There's no getting away from the fact that Christmas is coming. And it can be really super stressful for so many people. It can be really fun. It can be exhausting. It can be all the things. It's something different for everybody. So actually, I think it's kind of good to just talk about it, acknowledge it. I think, for me, I actually really love Christmas. I've gone through all the phases of loving it, not enjoying it, but actually, I think for me, it's weird, isn't it? It's your association with what Christmas meant for you when you were a child.
Yeah.
And for me as a child, I loved it. And then I got to a point where actually I always found it a real anticlimax because there was this like big build up to Christmas Day. And then the day itself was always a bit like, oh, is this it? It's really not that great. And I think the older you get, you're less interested in all the presents and all of that sort of thing. And actually, it's just about spending time with your family and with loved ones. And I think there was a period of time, like teenagers, when you're kind of forced to spend lots of time with your family members who perhaps you don't want to spend time with. But actually, as I've kind of got older, I have very much and wanted Christmas to be as fun a time as possible. And when I grew up, for Christmas, there were a lot of rules about how Christmas had to be done and how the tree had to be decorated and that we had to eat these sorts of things. And I actually found, and I could see that was doing to my mum. And she would just get really stressed and slightly overwhelmed by the whole affair. And was constantly worrying about it not being perfect. And I have gone completely the other way. I'm just like, I don't care. All I care about is that we have a load of fun. My Christmas tree, I put whatever we want on the Christmas tree. It does not have to be perfect. Christmas food, I absolutely love cooking. I generally always cook it with my sister if we're around. And it's ready when it's ready. It's just like cooking a big roast. I don't really care. It's always delicious. But I don't do the things that nobody likes. I only do things that people like. It's just a big family get together of celebration and fun. And we always play lots of games and have a lot of laughing. I think for me, it's just like, we don't need to stress about it. Why are we all stressing about trying to do it? Because what are we stressing about? Just doing something perfect because of the fact that that's the way we've always done it and that's the way you've got to do it. We don't have to have a perfect day. It's just one day in the whole year. So that's really, I think, what I want to say about this. It's got to be fun. It's just a good opportunity to get people together. Although sometimes, obviously, you're going to have people, it can be challenging getting family members and people together because you don't often spend time perhaps with some of these people. So that is where the times are. But again, it's just like, it's one day. It's just like, let's just all be kind and try and bring some sort of joy to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I think both of our experiences of Christmas are probably very, very different because you're a married mother of three and I'm a single person with no children. So
yes,
I get to just, I don't have to worry about the stresses of all the things that you have to worry about. So I think my experience of it is probably very different. I think it does come back to, and the experience you had of Christmas when you were a kid. And I I have always loved Christmas. I still love Christmas. Like I always have. And actually, you said how, you know, sometimes the day can be an anticlimax. And I think probably many people feel like that, because at the end of the day, what is really, really wonderful about Christmas, apart from obviously getting together with your family, but it is the build up that I love. That's what I
Yes,
love. I
I
love
agree.
Christmas time. I love
Yeah.
Christmas music. I love the
Christmas
lights.
season. Yes.
I love mulled wine. I love the, you know, Christmas parties. Like, I love all things Christmas. And so for me, it's much more about the build up to Christmas. And so actually, when Christmas Day comes, I always feel a bit like, oh, I think as probably quite a lot of people do, because it's like, even though it's lovely to be with your family, or, you know, however you're spending it, whether you're by yourself, in the case of maybe some of my listeners, obviously my audience is single women. Not that, by the way, being single means that you automatically spend Christmas by yourself. But some people do, you know, some people, and actually some people do by choice as well.
Yeah.
I've had some comments actually on some reels I've done recently from a few people who've said, you know, I've chosen to spend Christmas Day by myself. I cannot wait. You know, some women who are single but who have kids, and there was one comment from a woman who was like, yeah, I've told my children they're really annoyed with me, but I'm spending Christmas by myself this year. And, you know, so there are so many, Christmas can look so many different ways. But when I think back to Christmases when I was a kid, like I have to say I was incredibly lucky when it came to Christmas as a kid. Like, I grew up in the middle of the countryside in Dorset, and we always used to host Christmas at our house. I say we as if I did any of the hosting, but our family hosted Christmas. And so we'd have my mum, my dad, my brother, and my sister, and me, and then my mum's brother, so my uncle and auntie, and my two cousins on that side, and my granny and granddad are also on my mum's side. And that was like Christmas Day. And then on Boxing Day, we would all go to my grandparents' house. And it was always just so lovely. I've just got such amazing memories of, like, you know, wrapping presents on Christmas Eve. It always really used to make my dad really happy. It was kind of the one, you know, that it was one day that really sort of brought him to life. He really loved, I think he just loved having the family together. And, you know, we have various traditions, like up until the age, you know, up until I was in my 20s, you know, my brother and sister and I used to get a massive stocking, like a massive sack left at the end of our beds. And one of our traditions was, so every single year, we would take it in turns to which of our bedrooms we'd go into, and we would open our stockings together, on the three of us, on Christmas morning. And then we also had this tradition for years, which I'm devastated no longer happens, which is when all my Christmases growing up, until I was like into my sort of mid 20s, what the way we would do it is we'd have lunch, we'd have, like, you know, big delicious turkey and and then the whole family would move into the lounge, and we would sit down, and we would literally, there'd be this massive great pile of presents under the tree, and we would literally hand each present out individually, and every single person watched every single person unwrap every single present, and it would take like 3 hours or 2 hours, but it was just so fun and funny and like joyful. And nowadays we sort of don't tend to do that anymore, and things have changed. And I have to say, that's one thing about Christmas, is like, you know, at some point things change. I mean, in my life, it was my dad died, so that immediately, and also my uncle and auntie got divorced, so that immediately kind of blew apart the family Christmases that I'd already known. And actually, for the last, crikey, I mean, I would like at least 15, if not more years, I spend Christmas in London now. That's what, like, we pretty much always have Christmas in London, which is great as well, because Christmas in London is wonderful, and, you know, London is wonderful at Christmas time. So yeah, completely different sort of traditions and different routines and all the rest of it. But I think one thing I wanted to say, and it's funny because I actually sent a voice note in my membership to WhatsApp group last night about this. I think Christmas can obviously bring up a lot of different emotions. For it doesn't matter whether you're single or whether you're married or whether you have kids or whether you don't. Christmas can bring up a lot of conflicting emotions for a lot of people. And what I was messaging about in the Thrive Solo WhatsApp group last night was this idea of duality, which is something that we talk about quite a lot, because as a single woman, like, there can be duality for all of us, but it's this idea in the way that we talk about it in terms of being single and not having kids. For example, as you know a bit about my story of not having kids. Like, I didn't make a decision to not have kids. I've ended up not having kids, and I've been through grief of that. However, I'm super fucking grateful I didn't have kids. I couldn't be more grateful and thankful that I didn't have kids. But I also still sometimes will be standing in the queue in a supermarket and there's a cute toddler and I'm like, oh my God, I need to have a baby immediately. So there's, life is full of these kind of dualities where you can feel completely opposite feelings, and that's completely normal. And I think Christmas can really do that for us. Like, for example, I still love Christmas, but there is this immeasurable sadness that my dad is no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's been 21 years, like it really like pains me when I think about it that he's not here.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? So we all
absolutely. I think it's one of those landmark days of the year, like a
exactly.
birthday, like it is one of those landmark days. So if you've lost someone who you love and they're not there, this is the day that you're going to notice that big gaping hole that they're not here. And I think for many people that's going to be the case. It brings up an awful lot. And yes, if you don't have children and you wanted children, whatever, it's going to bring all of those emotions to the surface.
Yeah.
So I think we all have to be really wary of that, because actually, it is one of those times where it is a bringing together of people. I mean, my uncle, my mum's triplet brother,
can't believe your mum's a triplet as well.
I know, but he had a motorbike. This is a long time ago now, 30 years ago, when he was 40. Had a motorbike accident on the day before Christmas and died. So that day.
I didn't realise it was the day before Christmas.
It was around. I think it was the day of the day, but it was around that time. I don't know if it was the day before, but it was around that time. I can't remember exactly. But so obviously that for many years, there's always that sort of feeling of loss around that time. And that's the case for many people. Some people are going to be in hospital or whatever. So it's you have to remember that. But as you said, what I would like to go back to, it's the Christmas time, which I think is what everyone loves so much. It's the parties. It's I just love all the lights and all the sparkliness and the carols and it's just a nice feeling. It's that wintry, Christmassy feeling is just really
There's nothing
magical.
like it. There's nothing like it.
Exactly. And then once it's gone, it's like, and then once it's gone, I'm just like, right, okay, let's get a tree down now. I'm done with it. I'm over it. But the build up is the best bit.
But you know what? Also, what you realise is, and what I'm realising is, the older I get, and I know you will relate to this, and it's that, it's very easy to feel a bit down after Christmas, and then it's like, then there's New Year, and then it's like everyone's like, oh God, it's January. And honestly, like, as you know, I'm about to turn 50, and so you and I are both around the same age. For anyone who's listening in their 20s or 30s or even 40s, time starts racing the older you get. So now I don't even feel depressed when Christmas is over, because I'm like, well, basically it's happening in about 5 minutes. Like, it will be here again in about 5 minutes, because that is how quickly the years go. It is honestly terrifying. So, and also, Polly, one thing I just wanted to add is that I think one thing we also have to remember about Christmas, and I mean, it's, we're talking like this episode doesn't even go out till Christmas Day, so it's not going to be much use. It'll be more useful for next Christmas. But I think it's just that sort of, realizing that actually, in the same way that I talk about the kind of, the myth that is the fairy tale of marriage and kids, like, no offense, but, it's not a fairy tale, is it? Ultimately, it's real life. And I think it's the same with Christmas. And we kind of look at this sort of, we watch the films and we see the people on Instagram. And I always talk about like the matching pajamas and the blah, 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 and the perfect families around the perfect tree with the perfect presents in all the kind of matching wrapping paper. Like, what the fuck? And I think we just have to realize that, in every single house around the world, that is not happening. That is just not happening. It's a lot rougher around the edges than that,
Oh my God, my daughter would love it if we were all in matching pajamas singing around the Christmas tree. It's never happened. No, it's not. It's not like that at all. It's just, it is what it. I think, and that's the thing. We have to let go of these really ridiculously high expectations of the images that we see on social media, and life's not like that. And I think you have to think about what is it you actually really want to get out of it. For me, it is about bringing the family together. With me, okay, I have kids, I have a husband, but whatever. It's like I see my sister, I see my nephews, I see my parents. It's about bringing everyone together, and we actually bring both sides, my side and Giles' side. We invite everybody. I'm just like, anyone could. I mean, to be honest, anyone can come to my house on Christmas Day. I really don't care. It's like, come along and just get involved and let's have fun.
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what it is. It's about, just letting, it's just another day. It's just another day, but it's about being kind and open and not stressing about it. So yeah, if the turkey burns, the turkey burns. We'll eat something. We'll eat burnt turkey. It's really not a problem.
And also it's about like, I think for many people, I think you touched on this earlier, like, it's not as if we all come from, I mean, I personally am of the belief that every single family is totally fucked up in its own way, because we're just human beings. So there is no such thing as the perfect family. And so I think it's really good to remember that. And so I think it's always an idea to, it's almost like you have to sort of take a deep breath, because it is never perfect. There is always someone who annoys you, or there's someone who always says the thing that they always say, or whatever it is. We can all relate to something like that. But ultimately, because it is, like you say, it's about bringing, or in some cases, it's about bringing everybody together. Not everybody does that, but lots of people do. And I feel the same way. It's like, it's when my family is all in the same room, which is very rare these days, not least because my brother lives abroad, and so, but I think also, again, it's this duality. It's like, there are still things that can be really triggering, and I, for one, will be taking a deep breath and giving myself a bit of a talking to, and, saying, Lucy, do not get wound up about that. Yeah. And do not get annoyed about that. And I think actually, to use a word that people roll their eyes at, but I think ultimately, if we can just bring it back to gratitude on Christmas Day, that is the best thing that we can do. So I will look at my family, and just feel like I'm so grateful that we're all in the same room. Like if you can just start there, it makes it just so much better. Because when you're looking through a lens of gratitude, then everything changes. Yeah. When you're mindfully and consciously thinking, do you know what? I'm just grateful to be in the same room as my family right now, even though they drive me fucking bonkers. I'm just grateful that we're all sitting in the same room together. If you start from there, then everything looks very different. So I think, yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about gratitude many, many times, and I know that it does trigger people, and I think people get annoyed by it. But I have to say that I think the people that get annoyed by it are probably the ones that could maybe lean into it a bit more, because the truth is that when you start to look through the lens of gratitude, your life can change. Because it is always about what pair of glasses are you wearing, what lens are you looking through. That's what you're going to find. So when you start from gratitude, it really, really helps in terms of mindset. And also, let's not forget, there are so many, like, if you research the benefits of gratitude, they are endless. Hundreds and hundreds of research papers, more, on the mental benefits, physical benefits, spiritual benefits. It's just a no-brainer. How we're not all starting our day with gratitude every single fucking day, I don't know. Because if you look at the research, it's like, what, we should all be doing this. It's crazy that we're not doing this, because there are so many benefits, not least that it makes you a kinder person, it makes you a nicer person, and it makes life just so much better. So yeah, if you're walking into a family, because let's say, thinking about my audience, let's say you're single and you're walking into a family Christmas, and you are like waiting for those questions of like, so anyone on the scene?
Oh gosh.
Like, if you're you're worried about that, just take a deep breath and bring it back to, yes, I'm gonna, I'm sure I'm gonna get asked that, but actually I'm just grateful that I'm gonna be with my family.
I will only ever recommend brands that I know, love, and use myself. And one of those is Ancient and Brave. Honestly, they've become part of my daily habits. The very first thing I do every morning is pour myself a big glass of water with their true hydration in it. It feels like such a simple ritual, but it really sets me up for the day. And I know I'm properly rehydrating with their blend of electrolytes and minerals, especially before I exercise, which I always do in the morning. Then later on, when I make my coffee, I stir in their true collagen powder into the coffee. Now, it blends in straight away, no fuss, there's no taste, and collagen is something we naturally lose as we age, but it's so important for our skin, joints, and overall vitality. Now, I'll be honest, Ancient and Brave may cost a little more than some of the tubs you'll spot on supermarket shelves, but the difference is you're getting the highest quality ingredients, sourced with integrity and tested to a higher standard, and absolutely no nasties added. That's why I trust them and why I think they're worth every penny. And because I want you to be able to try them out for yourself, I've got a special offer for you. As a listener of this podcast, you can get 20% off your very first order. All you need to do is click the link in the show notes and pop in the code POLLYW20 at checkout. They've got more than just collagen and hydration too. They've got creatine, they've got blends, supplements. So it's a perfect chance to explore their range and make the most of that 20% off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the case. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of breathtaking as well in my family. It's like, that you, as much as you love these people, there's always there's always people who are going to wind you up and rub you up the wrong way and say things which are going to really, really get to hit that nerve. It's funny, isn't it? It's when you have such a history with people, what they say wouldn't even trigger anybody else, but just because of the history that you have with those people, my gosh, just one small thing can just send you into that, like, oh my gosh. So really good advice. It really is about just taking a deep breath, standing back, knowing that actually, you can't control what they're going to say. All you can control is your response to that comment, that look, whatever it might be. And just say to yourself, it's quite interesting actually when you get those sort of comments, and it's almost like reflect on yourself. Why is it making you so triggered? It's often there's something in you yourself which is sort of feeling a little bit vulnerable or feeling a little bit insecure or whatever it is. There's some sort of deep rooted old belief or moment or whatever it might be, memory. So it's kind of having a look at that and just be just really kind to yourself and actually try not, and just, as you said, take that breath, pause, be grateful in the moment, but also just give yourself a bit of love and compassion. It's like, sometimes these people, things can wind us up, but the more you have that awareness of that, then actually you're able to then choose a better response and not get triggered. And the worst thing to do is to then sort of snipe back, which we all do. We've all done, we all do, we probably still will do. But actually, if we can just actually respond back with kindness, or, sometimes it's just showering these people with more kindness is often kind of like
kill them with kindness.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's going back to just families in general and what I said earlier about families. By the way, I think we should just put this one out the week before. We can just swap the dates around of the next one, can't we?
Yeah.
Because it makes much more sense to do that. For anyone who doesn't get to the end of the episode, they're going to be like, this isn't Christmas Day. But yeah, I think I think it really helped. It's so easy to look around, especially because of social media. So what we see, we've got to remember that what we are seeing online is the highlights of somebody's life. It is not the day-to-day grind. It is not not what really happens. Do you know what I mean? When you see all these sort of glossy pictures and scenes and blah 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 blah.
And who wants that anyway? Who
Well, I
really
know.
does want the glossy? I
I
don't know if
know.
anybody really does.
Yeah, but I think the thing to remember, because I think all of us have probably certainly crossed my mind, like it's definitely crossed my mind, like why is my family fucking insane and everyone else is completely normal? Why, do you know what I mean? Like, why are we all so weird, or why are we this, or why are we that, whatever? And actually what I've realized is that the reason for that is because we are all human beings, and there is not a family in this world, particularly the ones that think they're perfect. They're the ones with all the stuff going on underneath the surface. But the truth is that we're all human beings. So and that's why every single family is made up of a load of screw ups, because we're all screwed up in our own way, because that's just part of being, it's part of being human. So just remember that as well. We're all just human beings, and every single family has their issues. There is no family that escapes from that. It's like, that, what's that poem that says they fuck you up, your mum and dad? And I think we have to remember that. We're all screwed up from our parents, and all of our parents are screwed up from their parents, and that doesn't anything wrong. But well, obviously some people have, but you know what I mean. But it's just like, it's all Polly, you've frozen, babe. You've taken frozen.
Can you hear me?
Did I cut off?
No, you just went a bit weird, but I think you're back. That's okay.
Oh, that's just not. I think that's just me.
But also on that point, Lucy, also what is family? That family is traditionally 2.4 kids, 2 parents, and talking to your point and to your audience as well. But to anybody, what is a family? I mean, a family looks different to everybody. It might just be you. It might be you and a child. It might, it can be whatever. There is no right or wrong to what a family is. And you might choose to spend it with your friends. You might, it's just like we have to just we have to just celebrate our individuality and celebrate who we are and who we want to spend our time with. And there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know a lot of people do choose to spend this time with family, which is nice, but lots of people don't have much family. It really is up to you to take the holiday and make it what you want to make it. And try and avoid as many I should do this or I ought to do this. Try and make it what you want to do. And I suppose beauty of your audience, lots of single women, you can actually, you've got probably a lot of choice of how you spend your time. I mean, obviously I love it, because for me, bringing all my kids together in one room is just now so precious, and being together, the older they get. But I mean, when they're little, it was fun, but now it's more about just spending time, really good quality time together and having a real laugh. Sorry, carry on.
No, sorry, love. You carry on.
Oh, I don't remember what I was going to say.
No, all I was going to say was thanks for bringing that up. Actually, it for some reason it just slipped my mind to even talk about this idea that a family does not necessarily look like parents and children. A family can look like me and Johnny, for example, my cat. Exactly. Johnny is my family. Somebody pointed this out to me actually the other day, and it's so true. With a pet, like you are having a relationship with that pet. You are in a relationship with your pets. They are more than, quote, just pets. But I'm really glad that you kind of reminded me of that fact, that, and especially with my audience, with single women, some of them are single and have kids. Many of them are single without kids. But like you rightly say, a family can look a lot of different ways, especially in this day and age. Like, it's not all the kind of traditional family. And in fact, it's so funny because just yesterday in my membership WhatsApp group, again, we were talking about somebody sent a reel, and there's this new sort of, I don't know whether I call it a trend, but a new phenomenon whereby for example, this reel was a lovely gay guy talking about his wife. So he had married a straight woman, because that is what a family can look like. Some people, like, for example, I've heard people talking about this, that there are certain friends who are choosing to create a life together. Maybe they've given up on love, maybe they're divorced, whatever, and they're like, actually, we are going to become a family. We are going to buy a house together. We're going to share this. We're going to, join finances, whatever it is. Families really can look so many different ways.
Yeah,
So
and lots of blended families
yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Having to work it out. Some people maybe not spending it with the people they want because it's, their children are spending it with someone else. There's so many different
Swapping
variations.
children in the driveway.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Handing over children in the driveway is probably quite a thing. And I'm sure that's a very, very common thing that happens on Christmas Day. Plenty of parents, like, you having them in the morning, I'm having them in the afternoon. So yeah, it really, God, it's a minefield. Why do we talk about Christmas?
Anyway, I suppose all that is left to say is have a really, 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 really happy Christmas, whatever you're doing, whoever you're with.
Sorry for making you feel really depressed about it. Lots of love. Bye. Oh my God. All right, love. Well, we're 29 minutes past. We're a minute short, but I think we can probably wrap it up there, can't we?
Perfect.
I mean, I'm always impressed that we can fill half an hour with literally no prep, not even barely know what we're talking about. And quite frankly, you can tell today.
You really can.
Probably most days. Yeah.
Thank you, anybody who has listened. Really appreciate it. Anyway, have a wonderful Christmas.
I'll speak to you later. Lots of love. Happy Christmas.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, babe. Bye.